Great. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. This is about the apps for modern age publishers. I'm Chirdeep Shetty. I'm the CEO at Quintype, and I'll be the host for this session. Along with me, I'm excited to have Swapnil Malpathak. He is the head of digital business at Sakal Media Group. Hi, Swapnil. How are you today?
Good, Chirdeep. How are you?
I'm good. I heard you're logging on from Goa.
Yes, I am. Good and bad both, but yes, I'm here.
Yeah, it's a good place to log in to the webinar. Great. Glad to have you on board for this webinar. For everybody who are the guests on this webinar, just an update on the format of the webinar. We'll have a conversation with Swapnil for the next 20 to 25 minutes. We expect to answer some of the questions towards the end. We may not have time to answer all questions. We'll see how many we can answer, but feel free to add your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom. Also, we will have a couple of polls in between the webinar, and it'll be great to have your insights or your opinions on those polls as well. Great. To get started, Swapnil, I think the mobile-first approach is more relevant today than it's ever been before. According to the digital news report that's just come out for this year, nearly 73% of all news across the world is consumed on the smartphone. Right? We're seeing increasing trends, and we're seeing that with our publishers as well. Majority of our traffic across all publishers comes via mobile devices rather than desktop. Desktop and iPads are very, very minimal. Maybe for financial news sites, desktops are still relevant, but for the large majority, it's been mainly smartphone and mobile devices. That's where the audience comes from. Also, we've seen a lot of trends shaping up in the recent past, particularly with younger audiences looking at news from social media, messaging apps, Instagram, Facebook. All of these are more or less news aggregators for younger audience today, right? And again, by the digital news report, nearly 2/3 of all news consumption happens on social media and aggregators. And to add to that, there are newer formats. Google and Facebook are consistently changing the landscape. You have accelerated mobile pages, you have instant articles, all of these providing very immersive experiences, right? And every publisher today has a responsive site, has a mobile first approach. So the big question in today's conversation, I think, is where do mobile apps fit in this entire ecosystem? We'd love to hear your thoughts about this and how Sakal Media is looking at a mobile first approach for all of its audience.
Sure. All right. To answer that question, let me give a bit of a background for Sakal also, because that is relevant to our mobile first strategy. So for the people who don't know about Sakal Media, we are a heritage newspaper. We've been here since 1982. We started with a single newspaper, that was Sakal, and now we have Asia's only Marathi agri-based newspaper, that is Agro One. We are the #1 publisher in Goa as well. We have a newspaper called Dainik Gomantak. Then we have a website called Sarkarnama, which is into political niche content. And we also have a #1 Marathi news channel, that is Sam TV. So why am I giving this background is we are truly a multimedia house. We have all forms of content to deal with. We have video, we have audio, we have text. Of course, text being the core of it. So like Chirdeep was saying, the landscape keeps changing. Every day we go to sleep with a technology, and next day morning there's a newsletter sitting in your inbox telling you that Google has kind of zonked you. And now God help you. So when this happens, we as a media business tend to not focus on the media and content part of it, and instead run behind technology. Now that is something which is not a good situation for a publisher to be in. So where does a mobile first strategy fit in into all this is because sorry, I kind of died. Being a heritage newspaper, we have an audience which gets used to a particular format. Now this audience does not easily adapt to new formats. Suddenly, if my website looks different tomorrow, this audience is going to rebel. There is going to be a lot of uninstalls. When it comes to the website, there are a lot of people who are going to stop following me. my MAUs will fall, my page views will fall, and so on and so forth. So to retain this loyalty, and we have a very, very, very loyal readership when it comes to Marathi. We are a regional outfit, and all regional outfits have a very loyal readership in their basket. So an app gives us that strength or leverage to ensure that there is no overlap with any other publisher. He sticks to our content. He sticks to a particular format that has been devised based on what he likes, and he gets the content that he wants. So for any regional publisher, a mobile first strategy has become something which is something that cannot be avoided now at all. You have to put your heart and soul into it. You have to put your money into it. You have to put your resources into it. Uh, if you go to rural Maharashtra or rural Goa for that matter, I've been traveling extensively here. I've come across homes where there are no TVs anymore. They prefer mobiles. Uh, they would rather spend that 10,000 rupees on a phone because in 10,000 they'll get a very small TV. So their idea is, if there's internet, if there's a phone, why not consume everything on the phone? uh, each family member has a phone, even in rural households, which was a bit of a shocker for me because I thought it would only be the uh, bread earners of the family who have a phone. But now, when I'm traveling across rural Goa, what I see is, if there are four members in the family, the kid, of course, the smallest one won't have a phone, but the other three would. So now, if I have to reach these readers, how do I do it? I have to be mobile first, and there is nothing like a good mobile app which will ensure that I catch them young and then maintain them as loyal customers.
Great. That's fantastic insight. I don't think
Mm.
we've come across something like this. I think most publishers also at a tier 1 level are mainly on tier 1, tier 2 cities. This is very interesting insights to see from tier 3, tier 4 and rural India as well.
Right.
So moving on, I think you answered the point of why a mobile app and how do you get the audience engaged. There are also new technologies in today's world, particularly PWAs. I think every single publisher today is adopting PWAs very, very rapidly, right? And very, very lightweight as well. So with these technologies, are mobile apps still relevant? You get the same kind of experience. You're looking at offline support, all of that possible, including your home screen icons. So where does it keep mobile apps in this particular scenario?
So mobile apps, like I said, they offer a uniform experience. In my case, I'll give a very Sakal related example of it. So we were on a old native app platform before we moved to Quintype, right? And when suddenly, of course, with prior intimations and everything, we moved to a new Quintype app, there was a chaos, like there was a hoopla, like a couple of elderly gentlemen actually came to our office and they were like, why did you change this? Right? So I was kind of confused that I understand that Sakal has a bond with its readers, but where does this come from? Why are they so disturbed? So PWA is an experience which my audience, be it PWA or be it SPA, it will be a huge challenge for my audience to adapt to it. So an app is something that ensures that I have real estate in their pocket. I'm always there. I'm sending them notifications of the content that they want and also the content that I want them to see. Because also being a publisher, it is very important for us to monetize our content. So if I ensure that I'm a part of the real estate in their pocket, I can send out relevant content, relevant advertisements, relevant polls if I have to, or surveys for that matter. So, so an app becomes very relevant for a regional publisher like me.
Okay, great. So this is a constant question we keep getting from every publisher, every client, every prospect we talk to. But when should they even think of having a mobile app? Would you suggest having if a publisher is just starting up, would you suggest them to have a mobile app to garner the audience? Is there a particular threshold of traffic that you'd look at? Are particular like reader revenue models more prone to mobile apps as such? So if I were to do subscriptions on my property, is that a better option to go with mobile apps at that point of time? So where should a publisher start investing in mobile app?
In the current situation, I would say from the get-go. From the immediate steps. We are also in the middle of launching a couple of more properties with Quintype, and my instructions to the Quintype team were ideally the app should go live before the website. That is what I'm trying to say here. Like you mentioned subscriptions, that is the way forward for us, for publishers. If we want to survive in the future, survive is the right word, because now it's a rat race out there. So if we want to survive, we need to be present in all formats, in all pockets. So of course, the website will always be there. The website is right now the primary driver of traffic. But a long run, you have to have apps. And from the day one, if you have the apps, it helps your subscription business, because most of your payment gateways are integrated, your payment apps are integrated, your wallets are integrated. Right now, a mobile has become like a I would say one-stop shop for everything for every user. Maximum e-commerce transactions happen on the phone. Everything happens on the phone now. So a mobile app ensures that the first of all, if you have a subscription paywall on your app, you send across, you push your relevant content to the audience. You can basically, if you have the relevant permissions, of course, you can track his what would I say, his patterns, his readership patterns. What does he like to read? What does not he what he does not prefer? So if you have the permissions, you track all this, you push your relevant content to him, you make him pay for that content, and it's a win-win situation for both of us. The audience gets what they want, and in the end, we are the ones who get paid for the hard work that we put in the content. So if what happens is essentially the app ensures an excellent user experience for the customer, even while making transactions for paid content, for subscriptions, and he gets used to it. So there is no, I would say, friction every time he tries to pay for that content. So we work closely with a paywall partner from Singapore, and they are struggling to have uniformity across all publishers. Because what happens is they are essentially a wallet, and so Sakal has a different user interface, a user experience. We want particular colors, we want particular fonts, etc., etc. So if they customize it for us, then tomorrow, let's say Dainik Jagran will want it in their colors, and now it's a wallet. And imagine this: now Paytm was a wallet, and every time you went to a different shop, it gave you a different experience. Then it was going to be a nightmare. So what our app ensures is, so let's say if it's a wallet, a user wants to pay for content on Sakal, quick and easy. He's used to it. He goes to Dainik Gomantak, same thing. The app is very same. The experience is same. So there's a seamless sort of a process wherein you ensure that there is no offloading of users. Users don't jump your app because of a bad experience. And at the same time, you keep monetizing your content.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. So the next question I had was around the cohorts which fall into the mobile apps particularly, right? Do you see, and given that you also publish in Marathi, do you see that acceptance of apps is higher in regional language publishers compared to, let's say, mainstream English or anything like that? Is there a difference in how people perceive apps?
Excellent question, and it is very relevant to us. Yes, there is a pattern, and with regional publishers, the readers prefer apps. So what happens is English content is readily available on a lot of aggregators, and it is also easily available across the web, where you just Google it and you have 10,000 things to read. But with Marathi content, you need to have specific search keywords. First of all, Google is not that great with Marathi still. They're still working on it, but there are a lot of times when Google just manages to turn your Marathi translation upside down. So what happens is with regional publishers, people are loyal to news outfits, and there's a core following that every regional publisher has. And I've spoken to multiple publishers in the Marathi industry, and there is a pattern across that people prefer apps. And till a year, almost 2 years ago, our app was pretty substandard. 2 years ago is when we actually started putting effort in creating the app. And the moment we started, so let me go back 2 years ago. I had just taken over Sakal digital business, and I was kind of digging out and pushing out old dirt and trying to get in a new environment, a new ecosystem. So what happened is the old app had a very poor retention number, a very poor download number, and I was shocked. And looking at that, I made up my mind that no, let me focus on the website. But when I did my research, and what we understood was no, the efforts have to go into a mobile app as well for a regional publisher. And the moment we pushed out a new build, the downloads jumped like crazy, the engagement jumped like crazy, things went up. And that's when I started realizing a pattern that people are actually attached to the app. They consume content from the app. The comment section went crazy. People started appreciating the new app. That yes, thank you for the build. Finally, so the exact words is finally Sakal is getting their act together. So these were the words that kind of the reviews and everything that helped us and made us again believe in the fact that yes, apps for regional publishers is a must.
Okay. You also touched upon on the engagement part of it.
Yeah.
And that was what I want to touch upon a little. Do you see better engagement on apps? Do you see more pages being or more articles being read? Do you see more pages per session times longer in apps? Is that a general pattern you see, or is there no difference between apps and sites?
So if I look at my last 3 months data, my engagement has jumped by around 700%. So that is something that honestly we did not expect. And it's just that now we are delivering a quality experience. We always had the content part of it figured out, because essentially we are a content company. Content is king for us. That is what is our bread and butter. But now that Quintype is helping us deliver that experience along with the great content that we have, our engagement is through the roof. People are consuming more content. My retention numbers are sustainably growing. It's the old graph used to be up and then flat. Now at least it is growing step by step. I'm getting new users on board and making sure that they stay here. So more pages are being consumed, downloads are increasing, engagement is through the roof. So yes, it's a good, as in it is, what would I say? It is a good situation to be in right now.
Fantastic. Great. Congrats on that 700% increase. That's, I think, something that every publisher would just dream of. So good on that. So talking about the mobile apps itself, I think you see that social media and aggregators, they have significantly higher engagement, right? So, I mean, the kind of investment that Facebook would make on content and the kind of engagement they get about, I think as per the last release data, they have about 45 to 50 minutes of engagement per day per user on Facebook. So I think every publisher dreams to get that kind of engagement on their site. So following on this, what do you think will contribute to a similar kind of engagement? What kind of features would you look at in an ideal mobile app?
Okay. Now, essentially, why is Facebook and the other aggregators having the numbers that it has? Is basically because they are offering content to the user in the format that the user wants it in. And also, they are learning from the patterns that they're analyzing, from the data that they're capturing. They're understanding what sort of features do the readers want, and then they are constantly optimizing themselves. For a publisher, that is, of course, one criteria wherein we need to offer multiple forms of content. So, for example, now if you go to the eSakal app, you will see that, of course, we have audio because we've integrated our podcast. We have video and we have text. Other than that, what do we need as a publisher is a great UX, excellent quality UX, because if you look at our print product, it's fantastic and people want the same experience in the digital world. So a UX is what matters. Low crash rates. So imagine this, my old app had a 47% crash rate. So now this is something which is like the new Quintype app. At least I can sleep in peace knowing that my app won't crash in the night. So that is there. Support, real-time support of that is something that is essential. By support, I mean even if there's no internet, if there's some sort of an offline support, the cache content is available for the user to read. That is something that we look at. Then customization options like font change, notification customizations. Let's say a user doesn't want sports content, he can switch off the sports category and then he can keep getting the notifications for other categories that he wants. Dark mode has essentially become very important. Dark mode is something that the young readers look for now. Paywall subscriptions, models, if something like access type or something like we are implementing at the moment, we are at a pay-per-view model. So that is something also which I'm looking at in Ideal app. Apps which later on can enable in-app purchases, that is something also there. And other than that, if there are any customization options that can be offered to the reader, then that will be like the cherry on top. But these are the core basics that I'm looking at for in an app.
Great. I just added a poll and we've got quite a few results, which I'll try to share here. So I think all of you can see this. I think everybody in the audience are looking at user experience and design. I think that's the biggest differentiator in the apps. I think that's top-notch requirement for everyone. People are looking at personalization of content and subscription options as the second best. I think what you mentioned was spot on, which is zero friction in terms of paying for subscriptions, right? So with everything else, you need to swipe a credit card or figure out what's your wallet, log into the wallet, all of that. Here with Android Pay and Apple Pay, you pretty much just one click, you're putting your fingerprint and you're done. Yes, there is a tax that you pay to Google and Apple for it, but I think the convenience factor is fantastic out there. Yeah, and I think the offline support and bookmarking options, even those, a lot of our audience feels is very important. Excuse me. Okay. So moving on the mobile app adoption, right? It's not easy to just say have an app and say leave it on the Play Store and ask your audience to find it. So what are the challenges that you would normally see? How do you look at getting into mobile app adoption? How do you make sure that your audience is using the mobile apps? How do you make sure your audience is retained with the mobile apps? What kind of metrics do you normally track on mobile apps?
So the primary number that we track are the retention numbers. So that is absolutely essential because what happens is whenever we go to any advertiser for monetizing our app in any form of advertisement or be it content marketing, the first question that they ask is what is the number of retained users that you have? By retained users, I mean the number of people who've actually downloaded the app and are using it, rather than just downloading it and not using it at all, or then downloading it or deleting it immediately. So we had this problem where we had seen that we had a high number of uninstalls. People used to download the app, then we used to give them a nightmare of an experience, and they used to immediately uninstall our app. So imagine this, Sakal used to publish 750 articles a day and people used to get 750 notifications a day. All right, so naturally people are going to uninstall that app. So there are challenges on both sides, Chirdeep. Of course, there's a challenge on the reader side that we need to explain to them how the app is different and why should they download and use it. And it's also a challenge on us, on our side, as in the content creator side, because the editorial staff or our content creators might not understand the user experience that we are trying to offer to our readers. So essentially, let me give an example.
Did we lose Swapnil?
I think Swapnil has a bad connection. Chirdeep, you can take over by the time he joins.
Sure. Let's just give Swapnil a couple of minutes. I think he'll join. Meanwhile, I think there are a couple of questions that I can take till Swapnil joins. The first one, do you help with app building for a publisher if we do have an existing website with several subdomains? Yes. So the short answer to that is yes, we do help with app building. We do have template apps that work for a lot of our publishers. Or if you want custom apps as well, then we can syndicate your content onto our platforms and help you with the APIs part of it for if you want to build your own apps out there. So these are two options that a lot of publishers use. You don't necessarily need to migrate your CMS. We can syndicate all of your content if you're happy with the apps as it is. Will you have the source code for it? I doubt that's not something that we give out because these are templated apps. We give you the final build itself that's deployed onto the App Store. If you'd like to have the source code, I mean, our APIs are open, so you can use any scaffolding application that's possible and build for iOS and Android as well. Okay. Before I go into the question, how can we cater to the regional specific audience with mobile apps? Does language become a barrier? Are there any barriers we might encounter while considering mobile apps? I didn't quite get the question. Let me try to break it up. How do we cater to the regional specific audience with mobile apps? I think Swapnil answered that. I think a lot of regional publishers actually look at mobile apps particularly, and that's mainly their channel to consume your content. Does language become a barrier? Not from what Swapnil mentioned. I think what Swapnil mentioned is regional audience mainly look at apps itself, and that's what they prefer to use, app in the pocket as such. So I think we've got Swapnil back. Swapnil, I was just taking some questions while you were away. Are there any barriers that you might encounter while considering mobile apps?
Yes. Did you hear any part of the answer, or I just?
No, I think we lost you last maybe a couple of minutes.
Okay. All right. I'm clearly audible at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. So I was saying that the barriers are from both sides. It's not just the adapters or the customers who have to download the app and us who have to convince them to download the app. The challenge is from the publisher side also. So for example, making my editor understand that he cannot send 700 notifications in a day so to the user is also a challenge. So first of all, there has to be the bottlenecks on the publisher sides have to be kind of removed. First of all, the editorial staff or the content creators, we have to explain to them what an app is. First of all, what are we doing with the app? What is the experience that we are trying to offer to our readers? So essentially, let me give an example. We are trying to position our eSakal app as a premium offering. It's not a part of the rat race that our other competitors are in. Slowly and steadily, we want to move away from that rat race. We want it to be a premium offering. So maybe one notification every 2 hours is more than enough. And that too of the juiciest content piece that we have, not on general news where let's say a bus has banged into a tree or something of that sort, right? So first, a publisher needs to completely remove all the barriers internally. Then when the product is about to go to market, that's when we start a awareness program about what are the offerings that the app is bringing to the user, to the reader, to essentially emphasize on why the user should download the app. And that's what we exactly did. What we did was we used our print medium, we used our TV medium to showcase what the app can do for a reader. And there's already a campaign ready with us. Right now, Quintype is working on an updated build for us. So maybe next week that build is going live. And after that, we are going ahead with sort of a blitzkrieg about the app, wherein we are talking about what is the unique offering that the app has and why should people download it. So that campaign also goes live next week. So the second challenge I would say after the internal awareness part is the buyer awareness, right? And once people start downloading it, then the next challenge is of course retention. And that can come only if we deliver quality content, because we already have a quality experience. Now we need to focus on quality content. So these are the three phases of challenges that I see.
Okay. I was just, I mean, I think before you dropped off, you're talking about what are the metrics you normally see. I think one thing you mentioned was retained users. That's something that you look at as a metric. But on a regular basis, on a daily basis, most of our publishers on the site look at, let's say, pages, page views per day, pages per session, number of unique users, monthly, weekly, daily, as such, right? So those are the kind of metrics that most publishers look at. And I think the later ones, I think the more advanced ones are also looking at your scroll depth on a story, trying to figure out, it's not a page view, but how much have you scrolled into the story and how much have you read, or how much of a video have you seen, right? So with mobile apps, are there any other metrics that you track?
No, right now we are focusing only on the monthly active users because we are in a growing phase. The other tracking part of it, so I need to have a clear objective for my team to work on. So right now the clear objective is increasing our monthly active users. Other than that, the other numbers Quintype is helping me to focus on and grow the metrics. That is just between me and Quintype. But for my team, the clear objective is growing MAUs.
Okay, great. Okay, so finally moving on to, I think, the last few questions. So eSakal right now, and most of Sakal properties are using managed mobile apps that Quintype provides. And just for our audience, I'll talk a little bit about managed mobile apps. What happens as a publisher, you have multiple options for mobile apps. You could build it completely native. You could build it on like a cross-platform framework like React Native, or those are mostly the options that you have as a publisher. So before, most publishers used to invest in building the app completely from scratch, and that would cost anywhere between $20,000 to $50,000 to build the app, and another 10 to 15% of that year on year to maintain the apps. So what we've done at Quintype, and I think few of the other startups also are working down this path, which is providing managed mobile apps. Instead of asking the publisher to shell out so much upfront, we're looking at a fraction of the cost. We will provide the managed mobile app. We will make sure that's updated and all the latest libraries, latest features are part of the mobile apps. And we'll keep giving you a build every week or every 2 weeks with all of these updates that the publisher publishes on the iOS and Android app stores. So all of Sakal properties are using these apps today. I wanted to understand from your point of view, what do you like, what do you dislike in something like this? Do you recommend a managed mobile app? Where would you recommend a managed mobile app versus building something completely from scratch by yourself?
I ideally, so a managed mobile app is, in my situation, like in my ecosystem, it's like a dream come true for me and my team, because it takes away the technological headache that comes along with apps. For us, we have a sturdy, well-built platform UI UX to rely on, which enables us to deliver a uniform experience across all our properties, right? That to a quality experience. Then why would I waste very rare resources on building something from scratch when I have industry experts who have built something which is already well established and doing well in the market? So just to give you an example, we were on Drupal before this, before we moved to Quintype. And to connect our old Drupal system to a native Android app, a vendor had quoted us somewhere around, I believe, 33 or 35 lakhs. And that is something for a, so a bit of a background is we are completely separated from our core print business. I have a separate P&L, right? I'm a growing business, I'm a SBU, and I can't afford 35 lakhs to be spent on a single app. I have 5 properties. And if I put 35 lakhs into an app, my P&L goes for a toss. So I would rather focus on a managed app, because that managed app has made my team's life easier. Also, it's been developed and created by experts, and that is quite obvious. Why am I saying they are experts? Because I've interacted with thousands of vendors before landing on Quintype and working with Quintype. And we've had 2 technological partners before Quintype in the last 3 years. One of them, an IT giant from Pune. And the experience with the current app team is phenomenal, because they understand what Swapnil wants or what Sakal wants. They speak the publisher's language. So when a managed app comes into play, all the headaches kind of slowly fade away. And since Quintype has to sustain a product, grow its own product, they are constantly going to put efforts to ensure that their app is state of the art, as in their platform is state of the art. So now I don't have to worry about innovation also. I just have to do one thing: believe in Chirdeep.
Thanks for that, Swapnil. We'll make sure that you're not let down here. And hope you're getting as much of the innovation as any of the leading content apps out there. Great. So also on the downside, do you see any disadvantages with managed apps?
Yeah, there are a few things like random customizations, which by customizations I mean add innovation. So a couple of days back, FMCG brand approached us, and they talked about completely branding our app in their colors, right? And then their logos and their this blah blah blah. So if this wasn't a managed app, maybe my technology team would have taken a bit of an effort but managed it. But with what happens is with managed app, there is a degree of rigidity, which is good, is what I believe, because then the experience is maintained. But okay, nice poll though. Everybody's in my team search. It has operated by vendors with controls for templates. Okay.
Yeah, so just talking about that, I think you're right on the disadvantages part of it. Any very specific customizations would be hard to do. That is something that would probably come in the way for managed apps.
So random customizations that are advertised. Can you hear me, Chirdeep?
Yeah, sorry, Swapnil, you're breaking a bit.
Sorry, Goa internet. Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, like customizations which are impromptu or demanded at the last moment, that is something which is a disadvantage. Other than that, I don't see any major disadvantages as such, because the managed apps are lightweight. They don't occupy much real estate in a user's phone, and they are easily loadable, as in they're quick to load. Content appears in a nice format, so all those things are there. Only the impromptu customizations are a challenge. Other than that, I don't see any challenges.
Okay. I'm just sharing the results.
And just to
go ahead.
Just to as in the participants, now Quintype is in a constant exercise with us, wherein they are asking us for feedback on the app, and they are asking for the level of customizations that we expect in the app. So there's this constant parallel exercise going on wherein Quintype is adding new features to the roadmap. As in, there are plans. You get a timeline to that by this time we will have this in the app. For example, now we've asked for our video player to be integrated in the app. So if it was a rigid platform, we would have got a straight no. But now the Quintype team is working on integrating our video player. Then I've asked for many more things which are right now maybe not good a time to discuss. But constantly there is exercise wherein Quintype is asking us what else do you need in the app, and we are telling them, and they are putting it in their product roadmap.
Great, thanks, Swapnil. And the last question on this, just concluding, given that we have only other 15 minutes and we want to spend some time on the questions as well. So typically, as a publisher, how much time and resources, how much time and money would you spend in building an app, acquiring customers, scaling in terms of proportions? It doesn't need to be exact numbers. Would you put a 50-50 on apps and website? Would it be a different ratio? And how do you define success of the app? What's the kind of return on investment in terms of time and cost for the app?
Difficult to answer that question and at that moment, because right now the Marathi industry is heavily focused on the website. The traffic is being driven to the websites at the moment completely. But in the long run, yes, we have to put a major chunk of our resources in apps. And right now, I would say so let's say I'm spending 100 rupees on the website. I'm only spending around 20 rupees on the app. But every year, a 30% spike is something that I want to give that budget. Every year, I reduce my website budget and I focus more on the app. I think there will be a time in the near future wherein desktop versions or laptop versions will become redundant and people will move towards Surface tabs and mobiles more. Already there's a huge inclination towards mobile, since 90% of our traffic comes from mobile phones and tabs at the moment. So there is already this thing that is clear. It's right there in your analytics. It's showing you, it's pointing its finger, telling you that guys move to a good mobile experience. So slowly what I'm doing is I'm kind of eroding my website budget and investing in the mobile app. The Quintype team must have also realized that suddenly my interaction with them on the app since the last 1 month has increased. I'm also kind of putting pressure on for new features, for new things that I need in the app. So now with time, I believe, Chirdeep, there will be a 50-50 split within the next 1 year, wherein we will put 50% of our effort in the app and 50% resources also on the app.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting, because I don't think we've heard something like this from other publishers that we're seeing. It's great to have that app strategy. I think given the audience that you're looking at and given your approach to have them adopt and use content on your platform, I think the app's approach is perfect in your use case. So great. I think with that, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just saying that if we want to move towards the subscription model, if we say that subscription is kind of the oxygen for publishers, then we have to offer an excellent experience on the phone, and there is nothing like a mobile app that can deliver it. Mobile app is the safest way to do that.
Great parting thoughts. Thanks for this great conversation. I think with this, we'll wrap up the conversations. I believe I've asked most of the questions that I wanted to. And thanks, Swapnil, for providing such valuable insights. I think it's great to hear from one of the largest media publishers in India, looking at how your strategy for apps is. Now we could take some questions. If the audience has any questions, I could take that. I believe I answered some of those questions. I see a couple of more questions around where will be the videos hosted. Yeah, this is a bit out of the context of this webinar, but Quintype does not host videos. We usually use either YouTube or anything else that any publisher would host. JW Player, Brightcurve, on any of the other services. Will your apps be working in China? I believe yes. I mean, we've not been blocked in China. We've got multiple hits coming in from China as well. So we don't have too much of traffic coming from China, but we've not heard that we're blocked in China yet. So the issue is there's no way to say. It completely depends on your content as well. So if you were to write anything about, say, Tibet or something like that, there's a chance that you would get blocked out there. Okay. I don't see too many more questions. I think we've answered most of the questions out here. If you have any more questions, let's say, please feel free to reach us at sales@Quintype. Somebody will be happy to get in touch with you with all of your requirements, answering any of your questions. That I believe there is.
I think there are some questions, Chirdeep.
Yeah. So let's say we use a platform for 2 years and then decide to switch. The data is completely yours. We have had publishers transitioning out of our platform either to custom CMSs or some other CMS. The data is completely yours. We provide it in an open API format that you can migrate to any other platform that you choose. Right? That's something that you keep with yourselves.
Ishan, we made sure of that before we moved to Quintype. So it's a pretty clear-cut process. You can get your data back at any moment of time.
Is it possible to have an app on your platform with mobile money payment integrated? So yes, we do integrate with a lot of payment gateways. Today, we integrate with, of course, both the app stores. We integrate with Razorpay and JustPay in India. We integrate with Stripe, PayPal, Google Pay, all of them global payment gateways. If there is requirements on mobile money payment being integrated, that's something that we can definitely explore. We have adapters for payment gateways. So actually somebody else, let's say your own tech team can build the entire adapter and give it to us, and we'll be happy to host that. Would you like to have a premium experience segregation depending on different levels of subscriptions? I think Abhijit's question is more towards you, Swapnil. So would you like to have a premium experience segregation? It's a very interesting question. So
yes,
depending on levels of subscription, would you like to have a different experience to your users?
Yes, long term, yes. But I believe this is a very difficult offering to float into the market.
Okay. I think Ishan has about approximate price. Ishan, if you can get in touch with the sales team, sales@Quintype, they will come back to you with whatever is the requirement that you have. It may include migration of your content as well. The duration to build the app generally takes about a day or two if you have all the data in place, because most of the apps have particular requirements around your logo size and all of that. So as long as you have these requirements provided in place, it takes about a couple of days to build the app and provide it to you. I think is your app only available to Quintype users? Not really. We can power the apps for even WordPress or Drupal CMS users as well. One thing we need to do is syndicate content. As long as you can give us an RSS feed of all of your stories, we can syndicate that to Quintype and power the apps from here. So you don't need to move your CMS if you need apps only.
I think Ishan had also asked, how will the transition and backup happen?
So Ishan, in particular case of transition and backup, we provide it in an open API format. We give you the entire dump of all of your content as a feed, a JSON or an XML feed that you can extract and put into any of your CMS as well. We also back up our data regularly. So in case there's a crash on our production servers, that's something that we look at. I guess we've answered most of the questions out here. If there are any more questions, do put it on the Q&A tab and we'll be happy to answer. If not, I think, thanks, Swapnil. You've been fantastic in giving us insights and talking to us about the strategy that most digital publishers today should look at apps. I think as I mentioned in the very beginning of the webinar, the very constant question we keep getting from every publisher today is, are apps even relevant? When should I start looking at apps and all of that? And your answer to it being at get-go, and maybe look at app first. Maybe that's a strategy that you should follow.
Yep.
Those are things that probably will help a lot of publishers. And on the Quintype end, we're making sure that building an app is not a very expensive affair. We're looking at making it extremely economical for publishers to have apps and testing those apps. So let's say you want to test your app and see if you've got traction for 3 months. You don't need to invest so much capital in building the app yourself. You can use the template app, see if you get enough traction, and then over a period of time, maybe transition on to a custom app as well. So those are possibilities on the Quintype platform. With this, I think we come to the end of the webinar. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for attending the webinar. And I think the recording will be hosted and provided to you over email.
Yeah, thank you. Before we part, one parting message to all my publisher friends, if they are working for a publisher or are a publisher, please realize that if you're a regional publisher, your audience is going to be from rural areas with limited bandwidth to internet. So it's going to be a challenge to offer them an offline experience along with bookmarking and all those features, right? You have to make sure that you have an app which offers all these things. And the app on the Quintype platform kind of ensures that this is delivered. So that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you.